Now, example 2 is pretty similar to the one we did in the last video about the defining equation of a line. So I'm going to go through it pretty quickly. This one says sketch a graph of y equals 1/2 x plus 3 using the y-intercept slope and a y-intercept point and the slope. So again, y equals mx plus b. So y equals 1/2 x plus 3. So I start with my y-intercept. So I go to my y-axis at 3 and put a dot. And then my slope is 1/2. So I'm going to rise 1, run 2. Rise 1, run 2. Okay. Slope intercept form is nice. It's a pretty easy way to do things, to graph if we're able to. Notice that it's hitting the y-axis at 3 and it has a positive slope going up 1/2. Okay. Now, the next part says sketch this graph using intercepts. And I didn't leave enough room down here, so I'm going to come do that up here. Okay, so I'm going to put 0 in for x. So I'm going to go right here. 4 times 0 minus 8y equals a negative 24. Now, 4 times 0 cancels out, but I want you to notice that this is a negative 8y here. We can't forget that we're subtracting this 8. So this is a negative 8y equals a negative 24. You might see that the answer is going to be positive 3. If not, divide both sides by a negative 8, and we get y equals 3. Okay, so if x is 0 and y is 3, it's right here. Now if I put 0 in for y and do the same thing, 4x minus 8, this time times 0, equals a negative 24. That cancels out. Now, there is nothing in front of this, so this is just 4x equals negative 24. Divide both sides by 4. X equals a negative 6. So if I'm my x-axis, go to negative 6, and oh look, it's on the line. Okay, so what do we notice? Well, we notice that they're the same again. Okay, we notice that they're the same. Now they want us to rewrite this in standard form. And again, if I'm going too fast, feel free to pause and take notes. Excuse me, but since this is similar to what we did before, I'm going to try to get to the new stuff. So again, I want, in standard form, remember, is ax plus by is equal to c. So I need my x and my y on the left side. So this time I'm going to subtract 1/2 x from each side. I'm going to rewrite this. This is y plus a negative 1/2 x. If I think of it as adding, I can change the order. So I'm going to rewrite this as negative 1/2 x plus y equals 3. That's not standard form though, because this isn't an integer and it's negative. So remember the hint I gave you before. Oops. If I want to make my negative go away, I've got to multiply by a negative, and then you just multiply by whatever the denominator is, and the fraction will go away. So negative 2 times a negative 1/2, negative times a negative is a positive. Half of 2 is 1, so that's 1x, plus negative 2 times y is a negative 2y. That can be negative, only the a can't be. And negative 2 times 3 is a negative 6. Standard form. I think I remembered that correctly. Oh, negative 6. Okay. So identify the constants. Well, a is 1, b is negative 2, and c is negative 6. So now we're going to go back to this one right here. Okay. And I'm going to say this is the prime, remember. A prime is 4. B prime is negative 8. Please don't forget that that's a negative. If you need to, remember, change things to addition. Keep, change, change. It's a negative 8. And then C prime is negative 24. So if we divide that out again, if I go 4 divided by 1, I won't go too fast here. A prime divided by A, which is 4 divided by 1, I get 4. If I do b prime divided by b, and all I'm doing is dividing the coefficients, right, of x, of y, of c. Or of c, totally not just the coefficients of that. That's negative 8 divided by a negative 2, and a negative divided by a negative is a positive. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And c prime divided by c prime is a negative 24 divided by negative 6. Negative divided by a negative is a negative. 24 divided by 6 is 4. And notice they all work out to be 4. Okay? Basically, we could take this here and multiply it by 4 to get the same equation. That doesn't change. The equation's the same because the graph's the same. Okay? So, when the next question asks us, so I'm sorry, again, pause it if I'm moving too fast past this. The next question asks, write 3 equations whose graphs are the same line as the equation 3x plus 2y equals 7. Don't overthink it. Don't try to graph this. Don't do a whole bunch of work. Because what we know is if we multiply in standard form the coefficients of x and y and the constant 6 here, if we multiply it by the same number, it's going to give us an equivalent equation. When we graph it, they'll be the same line. So let's say I wanted to multiply by 2. Well, 3x times 2 would be 6x, plus 2 times 2 is 4y, equals 7 times 2, 14. Boom. Equation, done. If I were to graph this one, it would be the same line as this one. Okay, so then you could pick a different number. Multiply by 3. 3 times 3 is 9, so that's 9x, plus 2 times 3 is 6, 6y, equals 7 times 3, which is 21. There's 2. Do another one. Multiply by 100. 3 times 100 is 300. X plus 2 times 100 is 200. Y equals 7 times 100, which is 700. I don't want to try to graph that one. Well, actually I could. It's going to work out to be the same line. Okay? So that's one of the main ideas to take out. Actually, this is the main idea to take out of here. And we're going to do one more example. Is when you have something in standard form, you can rewrite that equation. You can write equivalent equations, which will make more sense on why you do that later. But all you have to do is make sure you multiply the a, the b, and the c by the same number. Okay? So it's kind of, like I said, this is the last lesson on topic B. Let's wrap this all up and put it all together with this equation here, this problem here. Write at least 2 equations in the form ax plus by equals c, standard form, whose graph is a line shown. So now we're going to pull what we've done in the past. This line right here, okay? We need to write an equation representing that line. Now remember, we need 2 things to write an equation. We need a slope and a y-intercept. So if I look, well, I need to pick 2 points that go through grid lines. So I'm going to pick this point right here and this point right here. I'm rising 1 and I'm running 1, 2, 3, 4. So my slope, my m, is a positive 1/4. I need my y-intercept. And unfortunately, I can't tell where it's hitting. It's somewhere between 0 and -1, but I don't know the number. So remember, what we do is we take our slope and we pick a point on the line. Okay, so I'm going to pick this point right here because it's a 0, right? This is the point 3, 0, meaning one of the coordinates is 0. The abbreviation per point there, I didn't just spell point wrong. But you know me, I do sometimes. So we have m, we have an x value, we have a y value. So now we plug this into slope intercept form. So I'm going to come way over here. All right. Actually, no, I don't need to. I can do that right here. So we're going to plug this all in here. Y equals mx plus b. So my y I'm putting in is 0, equals my m, which is 1/4, times my x, which is 3. So I'll write as 3/1 plus b. So this becomes 0 equals 3/4, multiply straight across, plus b. And then I'm going to subtract 3/4 from each side. Don't panic because you have a 0 there. That's just 0 minus 3/4. That's a negative 3/4. Equals, that's 0, b. So now I have a m, a slope, and a b, negative 3/4. Okay, so now we write our equation. Y equals my m, which is 1/4 times x, plus my b, a negative 3/4. Okay, but that's not in standard form. So let's now put it in standard form. It's a lot of steps, but it's all things we've done, right? So I need to move my x term to the left. So I'm going to subtract 1/4 from each side. That's a negative 1/4 there. And I want to write my x term first. So I'm actually going to erase these lines out because I didn't leave myself enough room. So I'm going to write this as a negative 1/4 x plus y. I'm just adding these two together. I'm just doing this plus this. That cancels, equals a negative 3/4. Now, that's not standard form because, well, they're not integers and this isn't positive. So remember my hint. Negative, I got to multiply by a negative to make it a positive, and whatever the denominator is, the bottom number, multiply by that. So negative 4 times the negative 1/4. Well, negative times the negative is a positive, and 1/4 of 4 is just 1x. Okay, because again, if you put a 1 underneath here, you get 4/4, which is 1. Plus negative 4, don't forget it's negative, times y is a negative 4y equals negative 4 times negative 3/4. Negative 4/1 times a negative 3/4. Well, first of all, negative times a negative is a positive. And if I cross products here, well, my 4s are going to cancel out to be 1s. So this basically, and these are positive, right? This sloppiness here just gets us 3. Okay? So here is an equation in standard form using what we've learned in the past. But it did say write at least 2 equations. Well, that's not so hard because guess what? You can just multiply any of this by any number. I'm just going to pick 2. 1 times 2 is 2, so that's 2x, plus negative 4 times 2 is negative 8y, equals 3 times 2 is 6. There you go. That should be the easy part. Okay? All right, so this problem here kind of wraps up a lot of the work we did in topic C. Understanding what slope is, being able to find a y-intercept, being able to write an equation, being able to turn it in standard form, and finally, now writing an equivalent equation, knowing that we can multiply A, B, and C by the same number to get equivalent equation.